evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. The Marcos administration says more fuel sources are becoming available amid the oil crisis. And yet, petroleum companies are worried where to get their supplies next.
And on day one of the nationwide transport strike, one group calls for the resignation of the Energy Secretary. And they are taking more demands to the streets tomorrow.
And it's not that often that oil players and the transport sector agree, but they are this time. That is, on the removal of value-added tax on fuel products.
To the tightness in supply. And it is getting tighter and tighter. And with Asia being the first region, India and then Asia being the first regions impacted.
Suppliers are bidding out available volume, resulting in higher replacement cost. In addition, other costs, including freight, import premiums, and insurance, have substantially increased.
Fresh supplies of crude oil and diesel fuel are starting to arrive in the country. In posts shared by Energy Secretary Sharon Yao, some 150,000 barrels of diesel will beef up Philippine reserves. Yao did not specify where the shipment came from, but one ship is seen unloading its cargo in La Union. Another shipment is expected to arrive in Batangas on Saturday. Yao said this diesel shipment was 3 weeks in the making, and the ship for her was a sight to behold. Just last Monday, crude oil from Russia also reached Philippine shores. That's around 700,000 barrels delivered to Petron Corporation's refinery in Limay, Bataan. And then this afternoon, President Bongbong Marcos also announced fines for the natural gas and energy sectors. In a video message, the president said Camago 3 can produce up to 60 million standard cubic feet of gas per day, marking the second major development under the Malampaya Phase 4 project. Camago 3 is significantly larger than the first well under the project. Marcos emphasized the impact of the project on electricity costs and the country's energy needs.
Today, I am proud to announce another step forward in our mission to secure affordable, reliable energy for every Filipino. Alam natin lahat kung gaano kahalaga ito ngayon. Ang kaguluhan sa Middle East ay nagdudulot ng matinding pabago-bago sa presyo ng gasolina sa buong mundo. Kaya naman, ginawa natin ang lahat para masiguro na may sarili tayong supply ng enerhiya upang maibsan ang epekto ng kaguluhan nito sa pang-araw-araw na buhay ng ating mga kababayan.
Well, it seems this week's two-day nationwide transport strike is not enough. Transport groups announced plans for more protest actions until the government properly resolves the fuel crisis. And for now, they are demanding several things, including the resignation of Energy Secretary Sharon Yao. This report from mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
The streets of Metro Manila saw many stranded commuters, especially during rush hours, as the two-day nationwide Tigil Pasada kicked off on Thursday, March 26. The No to Oil Price Hike Coalition, led by Piston, staged demonstrations in Philcoa and other affiliated areas. Protesters urged the government to bring down the fuel prices to 55 pesos per liter, scrap the value-added tax and excise taxes on petroleum, and repeal the oil deregulation law, which they blame for the unchecked price increases. Piston President Modi Floranda criticized the government's choice of fuel subsidies and cash assistance as temporary relief. He claimed that the aid can only stretch a day and a half, as diesel nowadays sell for an average of 120 pesos per liter in Metro Manila. Other allied groups, including Manibela, also joined the protests. They warned that if diesel prices reach 130 pesos per liter, it will ultimately paralyze public transport even without a strike. Manibela President Marvel Buena particularly directed his tirades against Energy Secretary Sharon Yao and called for her resignation.
Secretary Yao, mag-resign ka na. Parang awa mo na. Ipinagtatanggol ni Secretary Yao itong mga oil companies. Nilagay kayo, niluklok kayo sa gobyerno para sa taong bayan. Hindi po kayo para sa taong bayan, hindi po kayo para sa mga tsuper. Kayo po ay nananatiling spokesperson ng mga oil companies. Hindi po nakakabuhay, nakakamatay po.
Secretary Garin has yet to respond to this, but Malacanang spoke on her behalf.
Kung nakikita nyo ang itsurang ngayon ni Secretary Sharon Yao, mukhang wala na laging tulog sa pagtatrabaho. So hindi natin po pwedeng i-judge ang DOE dahil sila po mismo ang sobra po ang pagtatrabaho. Kung lahat po ng ahensya ng gobyerno nagtatrabaho, mas lalong-lalo na po si Secretary Sharon Yao ng DOE.
On Wednesday, March 25, President Bongbong Marcos signed into law the bill which gives him the authority to suspend excise tax on fuel. But it is not taking effect just yet.
Bakit po next week pa? Bakit hindi ngayon na? I mean, nakakadalawang hearing na tayo dito. Please move. I mean, the name is Crisis Committee. So pag crisis, kailangan mabilis tayong gumalaw. Gumalaw na tayo. Now,
the law was signed yesterday.
Yes.
And I think may 15 days na para publication and effectivity. So the earliest that the president can issue the EO is around April 12 or 13 po. As soon as the law is in effect by around April 13,
okay.
the president can already issue that EO.
Kami po, nagmadali kami para mapasa yung batas na yan. Sana po, madaliin nyo rin yung pag-implement ng batas.
With no end or relief to rising fuel costs in sight, a number of jeepneys may soon disappear from the streets. Drivers and operators are thinking of taking a break.
Kung magkano lang naiabot ng driver ko, 500, 600, ganun na, yun na lang, tinatanggap ko na lang. Yung ang isang driver ko, nag-boundary, 300.
Dati kumikita ng 1,000, 1,500, ngayon hindi na, ano na 700, gano'n, 700, no, para ka na lang minimum. Kaya parang naisip ko, bumalik na lang ako sa trabaho na dati kong trabaho eh.
Then of course, if the transport sector stops running, commuters will eventually start walking.
Eto po, naantala yung gahe namin papuntang trabaho. Hindi kami makasakay ng maayos para sa niyan. Walang masakyan na jeep papunta sa trabaho namin.
Pag ganun naas ng taas yung ng gasolina, kuya, baka mapilitan na maglakad na lang pa uwi.
Hirap pa din po kahit maaga kung umalis sa bahay, wala pa rin ako masakyan.
The Transportation Department, LGUs, and MMDA are pitching in to provide alternative transportation to affected commuters. It remains to be seen if these initiatives will be enough to accommodate the riding public. Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Now, what more can the transport sector expect from the government in this fuel crisis? Joining us tonight for this discussion is Land Transportation and Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairperson, Attorney Vigor Mendoza. Good evening po sa inyo. Welcome to the Big Story.
Good evening po.
Talagang, it's a tough balancing act. Who do you favor? The commuters, the drivers, but now it seems government is bending for the commuters. Paano na po mga kawawa nating driver?
Alam niyo, marami pong ayuda, assistance that government is bringing in. I guess we have to just be more, we have to be quicker, we have to be more efficient in the way we bring this down. We are starting off with the AIX program of DSWD, which will bring down 5,000 pesos per driver. And then kicking...
Kailan po yan?
It's ongoing right now. It's ongoing right now. But there are some complaints here and there, so we're trying to fix things up, no? And we also have the fuel...
It doesn't seem, forgive me for interrupting, it doesn't seem as efficient as the distribution for the tricycle drivers, where there were little hitches, but not as much as what's happening with the drivers.
Well, primarily because
jeepney drivers.
Primarily because there was really no master list yet in the past years, as far as drivers are concerned. LTFRB, the list
Kasalanan
of
po ng operator yun o sino?
Well, we're coordinating with the operators. What we're seeing right now is that everybody's adjusting to this new normal. that's happening right now, that we need a list, and these are the data we need to put together. So, and this is coming down from the transport groups, from the local government units, and trickled up to us and us to the SWD. No? We're about to master this process already, this data gathering that we need. No?
We should have had that nung pandemic, hindi ba? Because
we have to update it kasi drivers to eh. So drivers change every now and then. So we have to update the data that we have.
And you're saying that the 5,000 from the DSWD, the AX, is different from the DOTR assistance.
That's right.
Which will be again distributed at another time.
Oh, we have already distributed over 470 million in nationwide, different modes of transport, and we're focused to those who have not yet received any help from government. No? If they did not receive the AX from DSWD.
470 million. And how much per individual, per driver?
Again, 5,000 for example.
So 10,000, they can get...
Hindi po. Kasi UV Express drivers are not included in the AX program. So UV Express drivers gets from the fuel subsidy program of the OTR. They get also 5,000 pesos. In the same token that, taxi drivers don't get from the AX program. So we give taxi drivers 5,000 pesos. But on top of drivers, we also give the operators who are in need of this also.
But at the same time, we can't expect them to rely on this 5,000.
Exactly.
What about the fare hike that the president recalled? Yeah. And they were not even happy with that.
Right. I guess no one will be happy with anything because the price is moving every week, no? So whatever is given...
Yeah, but they don't even get anything at all.
Well, there's a bigger picture. I can understand that. DOTR is located at the transport point of view. As you said, no? The government is trying to ease the burden of the commuters. Now it's necessary for us to bring down as many benefits we can give the transport sectors. Even before I came to this meeting, we were asked to prepare our supplemental budgets because the budgets given to the agencies were created without the fuel crisis in play. So now we are revising this in order to bring out more subsidies, more incentives. But, we understand this is all temporary in nature. No? This is not the way to go as far as handling a transport system is concerned.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt. When is your deadline for your submission of your proposed supplemental budget?
Oh, we already submitted it today.
Magkano ang hinihingi?
Malaki.
Magkano
I think
po?
the total together, it's two components. One is additional fuel subsidy, which we're proposing. And then second are what they call the Libreng Sakay program. No? And put together, it's close to 15 billion.
15
1.5 billion.
Yung libreng sakay yun, controversial yun eh. Paano ba pipiliin kung sino po ang makikinabang dyan?
The model that we use is it's all over the country. The president said it should be nationwide in scope. So we covered everyone across various modes of transport.
For instance, what they cited to us when we spoke to some of the organizations, yung rota, kunyari one route.
Yes.
Tapos may libreng sakay na, let's just say for let's say 10, pero 20 sila. Di yung 20, wala. Hindi na po sila sasakyan kasi syempre magbabayad yung pasahero. So how do you plan
you have to
rolling this out?
You have to dispatch your vehicles accordingly. You will not be able to dispatch fully, 100% all your vehicles. Because the model that we're using is that, we are proposing, is that not all vehicles will be subsidized. So maybe 50% will be subsidized. So, but this is the time of the year also. Our biggest problem is not really the fuel also. It's the drop in passenger load. Because we have the 4-day work week, we have schools have suspended, and historically, there's a 20% drop in passenger load during this time of the year.
So perhaps those who will charge will not nalang go out. Ganon. Hindi na sila lalabas po.
Rotation po sila. Rotation. You go out now, tomorrow the other one goes out.
Is there an assurance, Chairman, because yung sinabi sa amin on this show ng Piston at Manibela is that yung napipili lang naman para maging part ng suppliers, kumbaga, sa libreng sakay is only a certain number. Yun nga eh. And they didn't mention na nag-rotate or nagte-take turns yung, let's say, per route.
Dispatching is so key. Because if they dispatch all at the same time, they'll just eat up each other's passengers.
Right.
So we have to teach them these things. We would like to take advantage of what we are having right now in order also to make our system more efficient.
I guess you need to win their confidence that you will do it properly. Because dati mga anak ng Diyos lang, alam niyo yun, yung mga may favored.
So, Napupolitika daw, di ba? Yun ang sinabi.
Well, I know Manubela, I know Piston, and they know me, and I'm not into the politics game. I'm pure livelihood as far as they're concerned.
How sustainable, Chairman, is this Libreng Sakay program?
It's not sustainable. It's a temporary mode until we get past these problems. No, I don't think we just keep free rides all the way. No?
So the 15 billion that you're asking in supplemental budget for both fuel subsidy and Libreng Sakay, yung projection nyo, Chairman, is for how long ito?
2 months.
2 months? So 7.5
Hanggang May lang po.
Opo.
So, paano yan?
Pagdating before that ends, we have to ask another budget. No?
Okay.
How about a fare hike? Wala talaga. That is not in the equation at all.
Well, it's always part of our equation, but when it will happen, it will be, of course, the greater good of everyone would have to be factored in. So.
And there is no new fare hike petition on your table?
On my table, not yet.
It was the previous one that you granted,
That's
the
correct.
1 peso,
That's
na
correct.
sinuspindi ni Presidente.
That's correct.
So let's say there's a new petition, Chairman. How quickly can the LTFRB act on it?
Good question. Good question. Easily 6 months.
What?
Yes.
Is that the best case scenario?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And do the emergency powers not affect?
We can grant a provisional increase if it's necessary, pending the hearing. Why? Because we have 17 regions that we have to consult.
6 months?
17 regions. So we have to consult everybody, give them the opportunity. And there's a publication and all that stuff. So around 6 months.
But my question is, of course, nasa state na tayo of national emergency, energy emergency, and then the president also just signed the bill. Is that provision not tackled under any of these two, either the EO or the bill, na parang bibigyan din kayo ng power para, yun nga, mapabilis?
No, we can make it faster. The problem is, I say 6 months because there are a lot of depositors that we have to hear the commuter side, and traditionally, and I'm being realistic about it, is that they more often than not file their own opposition, and they ask for time within which to prepare this opposition. So
I think in this case, even commuters are willing to pay that 1 peso.
You'd be surprised. The recent ones filed, the ones that are hearing right now, that of the taxi, the UV Express, and the motorcycle taxi, there are oppositions to it. It's not everybody says, oh, sige, mag-fare hike na kayo. No? So they're opposing.
What are their reasons that they cited for this opposition?
One, there are alternatives to a fare increase. Second, it's too high.
Which is, what are the alternatives
what did they
to
say?
a
I'm curious.
fare increase? What?
Well, they're looking at the help that government is bringing in, which should be able to stem the tide for the moment. So meaning there's no urgency to grant it right now, and that this initial steps of government is sufficient in order to bridge the things that the transport sector needs. So because they're worried that we might grant a provisional increase because of the present situation. So that's what their argument goes to.
Are you already discussing, Chairman, with maybe the DepDev or the economic managers? Of course, we know that fare hikes are very inflationary, and yun yung isang binabantayan nila, and it's part of that balancing act that we were talking about. But have they given you some sort of parameters?
Oh yeah. Jeepney affects inflation the most, 0.27% of percent additional. Buses and all others are less than 0.1.
So it's the inflation that you don't want to. Well, it will eventually. Eventually go up.
Eventually, yes.
But it seems to me that the transport workers are bearing the brunt of this crisis. It seems that sila yung pinaka apektado.
You know, that's true. If you increase transport fares based on existing fuel price right now, commuters will not be able to afford it based on their minimum wage.
Can you
for
give
sure.
us a figure, Chairman? I'm sure you've crunched the numbers. You've been in the sector for so long.
Pero you only granted 1 peso.
Hindi, yun nga eh. Pero we need to like, hear out.
There's a math to that.
What's the real
math to that.
price? What's the honest to goodness actual price
Which
that
one?
the increase should be?
So like right now, ayun nga, 120 to 129 per liter ng
yeah.
diesel. Sir, magkano yung...
Well, this is a quasi-judicial I don't want to preempt any argument that can be raised. But as a rule of thumb, if you look at the last 15 years of fare increases, for every 10 pesos that the price of fuel jumps upwards, you have to increase transport fares by 1 peso. I'm talking about the jeep. I'm talking about the jeepneys,
Jeepney to,
1 peso. When we granted the 2022 fare increase, the price of fuel then was 51 to 56 pesos, the price of diesel, in 2022. When we granted the fare increase now, the price of fuel was ranging from 71 to 76 pesos. So there's a 20 peso jump. All right? So based on the story, 2 pesos lang, di ba? So the fare rate that was given in 2022 was 12 pesos. Now it's 14.
Correct.
So we just granted 2 pesos. Exactly the historical trend of as far as fare increase. But on top of that, we also added another 20 centavos for every kilometer. Based on the passenger load survey, that would add another 1 peso to the coffers of a jeepney driver. And how much would this be? That additional 1 peso is equal to 300 pesos a day. So 2 pesos is 600.
O, di ibigay nyo na.
Binigay namin.
Binawi naman.
Sinuspend lang. Because there is a bigger picture.
What?
Diba? Which is the effect on the commuters.
Well, yes, but we're sacrificing them.
Aren't
Talaga.
we also at risk of losing our PUVs on the road, Chairman?
If 15 billion is given to us, assuming that government can afford it, that would give a fuel subsidy across the board, buses, jeeps, and UV Express, a subsidy of somewhere like 80 pesos per liter per unit per day. 80 pesos per liter per unit per day. What does it mean?
What does that mean in simple terms?
When
per unit
the price
per day?
right now is 120 pesos.
120 to 130.
So 80 pesos is covered by government.
Yung subsidy is 80 pesos per liter.
So ilalabas na lang ng transport is 40 pesos, which would bring them back to 2022 level.
Kung ma-approve.
Kung ma-approve. So we're asking this because we will defend it.
Nasa mesa na ba yan ni President? Ano
Hindi,
bang proseso
for
dito?
approval pa ng boss ko. DOTR.
Okay, and then you will have to present this to Congress pa?
We'll see. I don't know where the funds are coming from.
Chair, you mentioned the provisional increase while petitions are being studied.
Yes.
Under what conditions can you implement that?
If there's justification for increase immediately, let's say the price of fuel jumps to 200 pesos per liter, sure.
Should we wait for that to happen?
Yeah.
Yung 200 pesos.
It already
And
is
also,
doubled.
the President hasn't suspended yet the taxes. So the poor drivers are really the ones bearing the burden.
Yes, yes. No, that's true. I mean, we sympathize with the drivers. We understand the difficulties right now, really. And that's why you see most of them stopping at their own will. It's not as if they're joining the strike. It's because they're no longer earning.
Yes.
That's why we have to bring all these subsidies down as quick as possible.
And I apologize for bringing this up.
Yes.
This is like a really not a good thing. But worst case scenario, attorney, let's say we do run short of fuel supply sometime in the future if the war is protracted. Are we looking that far ahead and what we can do? Because we do have some modern Jeeps and those don't need gas or fuel or diesel. But can we manage?
Well, that would be both a problem and an opportunity. A problem immediately because most of our vehicles are internal combustion engines dependent on fuels. But there are some of the ones who will benefit from this are those that have shifted to electric power.
Ilan ba yun?
For example, for taxis, we now have around 10,000 taxis that have shifted to electric power.
Ang bilis
Jeep,
nung shift
ang
in
jeep.
fairness.
Ang jeep, konti.
Parang kakapiranggot
ang konti
lang.
pa lang.
Kasi parang pangit ang programa ng gobyerno hindi siya attractive.
Maybe not more of the more of the product. Because jeepneys, they say it will run 200 kilometers. But in truth, when you try it here in Manila, maybe in the country where they came from, but here they would only run for 60 kilometers.
Kasi
One charge.
Sa 60 kilometers, hindi natin nakita yun?
No, we tested it here. We tried it. No? Initially, maganda, efficient. But after a while, the efficiency goes down. It seemed like a new gadget. Initially, it's nice, no? But now we learned more, and the technology has fast improved. No? And
The batteries are better.
a lot better. The warranties are better. So what we're saying here is that we might as well grab this opportunity to do a shift.
Yes.
We should.
I think you wanted to start it with the EDSA busway, tama ba, Chairman?
Well, that's the most convenient and most controlled experimental model, no? So yes, that's one possibility. But even without saying, the tax is already shifting. The TNVS, the Grabs are also shifting.
But the jeepneys really have to.
The technology has to come in. Right now, the price is going down. Before, a full bus would cost, 7-8 million electric. Now, some are selling at 4.5 million. It's becoming more affordable for...
And you also want investors to put money in
Correct.
the transport sector.
Yes.
But if this is what's happening, sinong...
Just yesterday, an investor went to the OTR. Yes.
Foreign?
Foreign investor, 100%, and they're bringing in...
What?
Electric vehicles. The entire ecosystem, including charging system,
Baka
including...
they're dumping on us, hindi
No.
naman.
They've been here for over a year now, and they continue to be very proactive as far as the Philippine setting is concerned.
And Chairman, anecdotally, we've seen a lot of people adopt EVs or electric vehicles in the past year or two. Even Ces herself has done so. And a lot. Oh, punong-puno, di ba? So, are the jeepney drivers, kasi sila nga yung pinaka-mahirap i-convince, have they started, kumbaga, loosening up on that?
Exactly. It's like a reality call. No? We cannot really be dependent on fossil fuel-based engines. It's so erratic. The price is so erratic. We do not control fully the pricing, unlike electricity.
Attorney, I'd like to give you this opportunity. Nakausapin na po yung mga tsuper natin na talagang kawawa sa nangyayari dito. Ano po ba ang maaasahan nila sa inyo?
Alam mo, sana bigyan nila pagkakataon ng gobyerno. This is not only the Philippines, it's all over the world. No? And we're trying to cope with the best way we can. As I said, no less than the President has instructed us to double time. Hindi pwede patulog-tulog. And they asked us to present a supplemental budget for a fuel subsidy program. And we call it service contracting program, which is Libing Sakay, which we have done and we will be submitting and which we will defend. No? And hopefully it's given to us.
And hopefully another round.
Well, if they give this to us and the price stays where it is right now, not too high, this will be sufficient.
To last till what month?
2 months first. 2 months first.
All right.
And then maybe another 2 months.
Okay, marami pong salamat.
Thank you for
coming
this opportunity.
over
Marami
to
pong
talk to us
salamat.
live in our studio.
Of course.
That
Thank you very
was
much.
LTFRB Chair, Attorney Vigor Mendoza.
All right, meantime, we're hearing more stories of the everyday struggles of PUV drivers, and here are some of them from our mobile journalist, Daniel Dayao.
Jeepney driver Rogelio and his wife Maria Fe plied their usual route of Manila to Quezon City. It's a good day this Thursday and day one yet of a massive transport strike because there were lots of passengers. Rogelio expected to make at least 1,000 pesos for the trip, most of which will likely go to gas and the so-called boundary. If they're lucky, the couple would take home 200 pesos. Rogelio is among the jeepney drivers supposed to receive 5,000 pesos in cash assistance from the DSWD, but his name was not in the list.
Yung sinasabi sa nakapila doon, tinatawag mga patay na daw yung iba. Eh, wala naman sa listahan.
Paano makakabili ng biggest na rin? Mabayad na rin sa lupa, hindi.
The couple still hopes they will be able to receive aid soon. This jeepney driver also did not join the strike because he has to earn a living for family. His route, Quezon City to Rizal and vice versa. Breaking even since oil prices began shooting up 3 weeks ago is now impossible. He plans to stop driving altogether if reprieve does not come.
Kaso ulit kahit pa paano, hanggat kaya pa, inaano pa rin namin kasi kawawa yung mga pasahero dito sa atin.
Sa samahan niyo po ngayon, medyo wala pa naman po masyadong nabawas na mga
jeep?
Jeep.
Ay wala pa naman.
Wala pa naman.
Lumalaban pa naman sila kahit pa paano. Kaya lang, pag sabi ko nga, pag umabot ka na 130, 140, baka isa na rin kami sa hindi bumiyahe.
Meantime, in Philcoa, Quezon City, members of Manibela passed the hat so all strikers can have somewhat decent meals. Rice, pancit, and chicken feet adobo sustained them on day 1 of the Tigil Pasada, and they will do this again on Friday, March 27.
Nagambag-ambagan kami. Luluto yung aming taga-Batasan chapter.
Ma'am, ano yung magkano inambag nyo, ma'am, para sa pagkain?
Depende kung magkano gusto nila. Nasa sa kanila yun. Kung sila mag-ambag.
Nakadepende, ma'am. Paano kung, ma'am, kunyari yung iba hindi nagambag? Okay lang yun.
Over in Cubao, women prepared meals for their husbands who led Thursday's protest action for Piston. According to Janet and Eva, on regular days they serve as conductors for their jeepney driver partners. In short, they will be standing by their husbands through rough and now soon to be rougher times.
Nakaraan, yung 1920. Nandito rin kami rin ng ganito. Nagluto kami rin. Pangalawa ngayon, tuwang-tuwa naman kami na dumami kami. Ramdam na rin ng iba yung taas ng diesel. Kaya dumami kami. Kaya dadamihan din namin yung sasaing, sir. Para sa kanila, wala. Hindi na pa kapalan ng mukha na ito. Pagkapal hindi na kayang panipisan. Pagkapalan na talaga ito. Sana naman kay Mr. President, marinig niya naman yung daig natin. Yung solusyon na kaya niyang gawin niya, babaan niya, itaas naman yung mga sahod at pamasahe. Talagang hindi na kaya.
These people had 2 choices on Thursday: join the strike or earn for the day. They took different routes but all had just one destination: home, where their families have enough to eat and sufficient means to live decently. Kapatid Mobile Journal, Daniel Dayaw, we are One News.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. We have more developments on the oil crisis, with some petroleum companies saying their reserves could only last a few weeks. They now wonder where to get their next supply if the Gulf War extends. That story and more when we return. Keep it here.
Watching The Big Story here on One News. Fuel companies are now pleading for government help as the Gulf War rages on. In today's Senate Protect hearing, oil firms admit they are now having a difficult time sourcing petroleum supplies. Caltex and Jetty say their current supply will only last until the end of April, while Petron and Shell have reserves up to May. All are not sure if there will be deliveries next month, even for the lower quality Euro 2. They added oil export bans in countries like China, Thailand, and Singapore make it extremely difficult to do so.
Where some of the ministers are indicating a future or upcoming ban, for example. So that is also the type of G2G to already have that discussion, so that whatever we have procured, whether short-term or long-term contracts, as you mentioned, they continue to be honored by because what will happen is that the seller declares force majeure, citing the reason that they're no longer able to supply because of the export ban.
To go around that, the government negotiation can come in.
Correct, because some countries put in a list to say, okay, we do an export ban, but we're willing to consider exceptions to certain countries.
Sa DOE and PNOC, wag na kayo matulog. Wag na kayo matulog. Correct. Wag na kayo matulog. Kasi nasa inyo na, humingi sila ng tulong sa inyo eh. No? So kailangan na talagang mag-double time tayo dito. Kasi kung sinasabi nga ng oil company, sirap kami, then it's up to government to move. No? But like I said, 60 days will fly by.
President Bongbong Marcos earlier assured that after the current 45 days worth of oil supply dries out, there will be continuous petroleum deliveries. But it turns out The Philippine National Oil Company or PNOC was only able to talk to two countries at the moment, India and the United States. The DOE, however, assures there's 22 million liters coming on Saturday, but this will only last a day.
So I do echo what Mr. Nepomuceno and Kunbon has mentioned when it comes to the tightness in supply. And it is getting tighter and tighter. And with Asia being the first region, India and then Asia being the first regions impacted.
Suppliers are bidding out available volume, resulting in higher replacement cost. In addition, other costs, including freight, import premiums, and insurance, have substantially increased.
Now, in that same Senate hearing, oil players support the call of various transport groups to scrap the VAT or value-added tax. They were reacting to Finance Undersecretary Carlo Adriano's explanation of possible counterproductive result of exempting fuel products from the VAT. He said that VAT applies to both input and output, so removing VAT at the output level while retaining it at the input level may pass the costs down to consumers. Independent Philippine Petroleum Companies Association President Tanya Samiliano then suggested to remove VAT upon importation as it eliminates costs on the company's end. But because of this, according to Samiliano, if fuel products are at 100 pesos per liter now, the next increase could be reduced by 12 pesos. Executives from major petroleum companies agreed, even calling it an industry statement.
It's easier for us to implement reduced prices when VAT is removed. Because what we were suggesting is, we don't remove it on the bottom, we remove it upon arrival of the cargo. Hindi na kami magbabayad ng VAT. And then it answers your request for immediate implementation on the pump prices.
Now here are the other stories making headlines this Thursday. We begin with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas holding its key policy rate at 4.25% amid inflation risks. The central bank cited Middle East tensions, which have pushed up global oil and fertilizer prices, adding pressure on local fuel costs and transport fares. Still, it said these risks are largely supply-driven, limiting the impact of monetary policy. The BSP also flagged weak economic growth prospects for 2026, warning that a rate hike at this stage could delay recovery. And on to the local markets, the Philippine peso weakened to 60 to 23 against the dollar this Thursday, down 13 centavos from its previous close of 60.10. The local currency hit an intraday low of 60.275, extending volatility amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index closed lower by about 1% at just below the 6,000 level. The broader all shares index likewise declined, with most sectoral gauges in the red, except for mining and oil, which posted gains of over 1%. And in another development, Beijing says it is open to a dialogue with the Philippines on joint oil exploration in the South China Sea, but it is urging the country to show sincerity. This comes after President Marcos said the global energy crisis could push both countries toward a deal. The Chinese embassy noted previous talks made positive progress and called joint development the right path to uphold peace in disputed waters. However, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro maintained the country has always negotiated sincerely.
And we are pausing for another quick breather, but right after that, science, skincare, and sustainability all in one product. Yes, it can be done according to one company. Sustainability is up next on The Big Story. Keep it here.
Thanks for staying with us here on The Big Story. For many consumers, choosing personal care products can mean compromise between what works, and what's good for the environment. One local brand is trying to bridge that gap. Derm Tropics was born from a personal need, founded by a family with roots in dermatology and farming and a shared focus on sensitive skin. The brand builds on the use of virgin coconut oil, a locally sourced ingredient long known for its nourishing properties. It is now developed into dermatologist-tested, science-backed formulations. We put a spotlight on initiatives that move communities forward. Welcome to Sustainability. And joining us this evening is Margot Arambulo Lucena, co-founder of Derm Tropics. Margot, welcome to the Big Story.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, we should point out that not all virgin coconut oil are equal.
Yes.
What you use in your product here is, tell us all about it and why it's, higher grade than other VCOs.
Okay, so we call it wet milling. I'm not so sure if everybody has heard about wet milling. With wet milling, we do not use any heat, and we also use fresh coconuts. So upon 48 hours of harvest, we extract the virgin coconut oil right away. So there pa lang, we really preserve the freshness of the coconuts. And with wet milling, we use a high-speed centrifuge. So I'm sure that there are others that deodorize, they bleach, and then we also have the cold press. With ours, it's different because we separate the virgin coconut oil from the milk with high speed without any heat and chemicals.
No heat, it's just high speed.
Yes.
So centrifuge.
Centrifuge. So we are able to retain the natural antioxidants, and it's the closest to the natural state of virgin coconut oil.
What happens to the other means that are used? The nutrients are lost, no?
Yes, when you heat it. That's number one. And also, we've also sent our virgin coconut oil. That's why we take pride about it, because we sent it to ORAC. So it's called Oxygen Radical Absorbance Capacity. So this is where it's a laboratory test that they test the virgin coconut oil.
Where is this lab?
There's in US, there's in Germany. And
so only abroad?
Yeah, only abroad, yes. And you can test, the ingredient, you can measure the capacity of each antioxidant level of a certain ingredient. So in our case, we came up with studies that our virgin coconut oil has 4 times more antioxidants than the traditional cold press.
Quick question, Margot. When we hear VCO, usually everyone's all about the cold pressed.
Yes.
Personally, I've not heard of wet milling. What is the key difference there?
I can make it, actually.
Oh.
I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
There's
the
a traditional way.
Yan talaga yung traditional way.
You can hand make it.
Yes, yes.
If you make gata, magpipiga ka ng coconut.
Oo.
Diba?
Yes, ganon.
And then you set it aside, and it will separate
So
naturally.
gravitational force. So you
Yeah.
don't press, you don't
Yeah.
heat, just gravitational force. But that's for like small batches. We started, yes, that way. But of
You
course,
started that way?
Well, we tried, yes. But again,
Yeah.
it's not,
How can
sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Yes. So
and you can't scale.
you can't scale. So, we try our best to produce more products.
Okay.
And this is the time that there's a lot of innovation right now to use a centrifuge that can really produce the same oil in 2 hours, as fast as 2 hours.
And so the cold press, what is the downside of cold
Well,
press?
for me, there's nothing wrong with cold press. It's still good. It has a lot of nutrients. It's different in terms of, number one, again, as I mentioned, with a lot of cold press technology, they dry the copra. And they do this because they want to preserve the copra. They don't need to refrigerate it. And again, this is for like larger industrial supply chain, so that they can import, they can, it would take days.
Na-degrade na yung
Yes.
nutrients, escape na.
Yes, and with wet milling, that's why we call wet. Because again, fresh.
pa lang.
Yeah.
Fresh pa lang siya.
Pero yung traditional is wet milled, fermented. You just allow it to
Yes, that's what
to
our
ferment.
coconut farmers have been doing before.
Before industrialization.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
But where do you get your coconuts, and who? Because I'm so interested, because this is the highest VCO. Wet milled. So, how many are given livelihood because of your product?
Well, we started with working with around 10 farmers. So these are smallholder farmers, and each of them would have like around 2.5 to 3 hectares. And there are a lot of coconut plantations up to 1,000 hectares in Mindanao. So, you know, as you grow, you can still grow to working with 50 farmers, 100 farmers. So again, there are a lot of smallholder farmers that really need support because these are the farmers that, again, have small farms compared to the large coconut plantations. And sometimes they're not given the chance by, you know, the larger scale farming. And so this is where we come in, that we give them a chance that we get the coconuts.
So, kinokontrata mo yung mga small farmers, so you buy all their products?
Yes.
Okay. And their incomes have improved
because
of what you do.
When you supply, when you get from your smallholder farmers, you usually buy it at 3 times more expensive than your
the big ones.
Yes. So, and again, you know, Miko and I has always believed in this. My business
This is
partner.
your husband?
Yes.
Slash driver.
business
partner.
Co-founder.
Yes,
Come on.
co-founder. He, again, I'm very grateful because we're so passionate about it. We really love our local products. We believe in our craftsmanship. We believe so much in our soil. My husband is actually also has his own farms in Davao. And that's where it started. He met a lot of farmers who are also as passionate as him. He would also actually meet farmers from different countries like Japan who are very jealous about our soil. You know, it's
And they love our coconut.
Proud.
Actually, they love our coconut oil. And what is sad is we just export raw material.
Yes.
So this is what we should be exporting.
Yes.
Let's go to
Value
your
added,
product line,
value added.
because
Here,
I'm
Pao.
really curious.
Yeah.
This is perfect for people with sensitive skin,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So some of the products are there. Maybe we can go through them one by one.
Sige,
We-
one by one. Ano yan?
We call this our moisturizing trio. So because we have, actually this is our hero product. It started with my mom. My mom is a dermatologist and she had this soap bar for like during the 90s pa.
Really?
Yes.
She would sell it lang to her clients.
In her clinic. So parang kami, we were using this as kids already. We call it the unscented soap. But later on did we realize, Mama, virgin coconut oil pala to. And Miko knows a lot, you know, about virgin coconut oil. And maybe it's about time that we actually, you know, also make it available everywhere for our local consumers.
Yes, because this is also good for the environment.
Yes.
I mean, the soap actually that you buy commercially, it has a lot of additives.
Ingredients, yes.
And then when when it drains into the water, marami ring
Yes.
nakaka-harm sa environment,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
The lesser ingredients that you have,
Yeah.
you know, it's all biodegradable ingredients.
So what's in that soap?
Well, it's
VCO lang.
It's pure. We have 50% pure virgin coconut oil. We have glycerin,
Okay.
and of course the sodium hydroxide,
Okay.
and vitamin E to really, you know, to people kasi still like that ladder, you know, the
Yeah.
Filipinos.
the bula.
So
The
medyo
bula.
parang yung malambot lang sa skin.
Yes, oo.
And it's cold processed.
It's cold
Okay.
process and still handmade actually.
It says no heat applied on the box. It's too
Yes.
small for them to see, but read it out.
Try it out.
Yeah.
We place so much text, you know, to you know,
To inform.
to
Yeah.
inform that it's sulfate
And to
free,
be
paraben free,
transparent.
we try our best to be transparent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Margot, I'm curious. Your mom, you said, formulated the soap, and you've been using it like probably forever. Did you improve on her formula, or has she
We
been
did.
using this for this exact same formula?
It's very similar. It's just that, of course, back in the 90s, you know, there was only RBD by that time. It is like the lowest
kind
grade.
of oil.
Yes.
Yeah, that was used. I see. Wala pang masyadong VCO.
Wala pa masyado eh. But it was still really good for her patients. They would really see the immediate effects for their eczema, dry skin. And then we transitioned later on to cold press because it was very famous. And then again, with my husband, when he found out that there's another way to extract virgin coconut oil, we found out, okay, so that's the time we really want, why don't we provide the best and purest virgin coconut oil for our consumers?
So your husband, because of his farming background, was the one who introduced you to the wet milling process.
Yes.
You were meant to be.
I know. That's why you're so lucky, alam mo. You're very passionate
What product
about
you
it.
were holding? We need to show this also.
Okay,
Yeah, this is a
lip balm.
shield.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
with
the
SPF.
lip shield. It's actually, you know, it's really, really good for chapped lips. So it has
Ako
shea
yan, lagi.
butter. Yes, I really hope that you will really like this. And it has SPF as well. You know, 2-in-1, multi-purpose, you know, so that you can get all the benefits for your lips. And it's packaged in
Yeah.
paper tubes.
Open it
Okay.
because the,
Okay.
the packaging
Okay,
is
okay.
nice.
So
Your packaging is biodegradable.
Yes.
This container.
Yes.
Pag tinapon,
Pag tinapon siya sa landfill, there are studies that it biodegrades in 12 to 24 months in the landfill. So there's a certain bacteria and then heat, everything that
it
will
will just disintegrate
yes,
there.
yes, yes.
So you have a bar soap and you have a liquid soap.
No. So we
This
have a
is-
full line. We started with the
Okay.
bar soap.
Oh, this is lotion.
This is lotion.
Oo.
Actually,
Sold out.
naubos, na-sold out. Hair care is
Actually,
really...
online daw, that's a bad thing to happen.
I know because a lot of people
my
are
son says in
messaging.
the e-com,
Yes,
that's bad because you have to start again.
Yes.
Parang ganon.
Yes, that's true. And yes.
Parang the momentum na mawala.
Tapos mawawala bigla.
Oo.
Yes, we experienced that. And 2026 is all about, improving our production. We're increasing, we're also growing our people, our team, so that we can, keep up with the
Keep
demand.
up with the demand.
Yes, we
Wow,
have
what
to.
a good problem to
I know,
have.
It's a good problem to have.
how is the DTI helping you?
Yeah.
Yes. No, DTI, DFA, they're really trying to, promote local craftsmanship, local products.
So how?
For DTI, particularly for our brand, for beauty
For exporting,
brands,
right?
For exporting, yes. They were able to organize the first trade show in Hong Kong. I'm not so sure if you heard about Cosmoprof.
No.
So it's a very famous international trade show where a lot different
For wellness?
for
or-
wellness, for products,
Cosmetics,
cosmetics, like from different countries. Cosmoprof, and we
Prof.
were able to join and attend last
Because of the government
year.
support.
Yes, it was free.
Libre.
Libre,
Oo,
yung
otherwise you would
booth.
have to spend.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's very expensive, yes. And so I think that's the start. And I think it's going to be a yearly initiative as well. So,
Beautiful. Kasi what also you said, you get accreditation for your farmers na organic sila. So that's why you can export, right?
yes,
Yeah,
we make
so
sure, yes, to use
mahal yan.
USDA organic. Yes.
So government can also support siguro
Yes,
there.
I
no?
hope,
Help producers get that accreditation. It's expensive and you have to renew every year ba?
Yes, yes. And it just so happened, like, again, these smallholder farmers, their farms are heritage farms. It's being passed on to them. So, ito talagang totoong organic. So, you don't need to use synthetic fertilizers to really
Yeah.
up the
Kasi
harvest.
kung massive plantation, they
Wala
use
na eh,
meron
yes.
na.
How many
Wala nang
trees do
cares.
you get coconut oil from? I'm just curious if you have like a rough figure. How many hectares?
I can't count.
Medyo mahirap.
Kumbaga, ilang
mo.
ilang farmers na yung na-help niya because they each have siguro ilang hundred or thousands of
Well,
trees, di ba?
Well, not so 50. We around 50.
50 trees, okay.
Yes, yes.
So
I'm
even
sorry,
that's
50 farmers.
50 farmers.
Usually they're couples or they're like families. So they own, again, the maximum that they can own are like 2.5 to 3 hectares.
Okay.
So again, there are a lot.
And you
in-
want
in
them to
Mindanao.
keep their farms because some are, selling it because they're giving up on farming. Diba?
Actually, yes, that's what they're telling us. Like, their children, want something different. They don't want to do farming. So yes, it's also a challenge to keep up with, the organic farming.
Such an inspiring story. We look forward to this being displayed in foreign stores.
Yes, please. That was really our goal. Yes, to really, elevate our Filipino skincare, that it can also be as good as other international brands.
Yes. And Filipinos should also believe on
Yes, please.
Philippine made. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So that was Margot Arambulo Lucena of Derm Tropics.
All right, and that's it for the big story this Thursday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.